This week, our module is on social networking. Not just what social networking is, but also how it affects our lives, our personal and business life, our work life, and just how it affects us in general, as well as some things that we may not think about as what possibilities are out there. So, as an introduction, a social network is a social structure made up of individuals or organizations called nodes. It almost really resembles the internet. The internet is not really a physical entity, it's really just a bunch of servers, web servers connected together. And if all of them just decided to not be online anymore, we really wouldn't have any websites to visit. So that's kind of what social networking is, a bunch of individuals or organizations called nodes, which are tied together by one or more specific types of interdependency, whether that be friendship, kinship, like you're related to somebody, common interest. There's all types of, like sports groups or fantasy football groups or, whatever interests you, car groups or whatever it is, financial exchange, dislike, beliefs, knowledge. So it can be from any standpoint regarding any of those interdependencies that connect us together. So, a social networking service is just any online service, platform, or site that focuses on building and reflecting social networks or social relations among people who, for example, share interests or activities. So, any of the interdependencies that we just mentioned. The representation of each user is presented online. Now has ever changed because again we have mobile devices, so we can carry it with us. We don't just have to sit in front of a computer and be stationary. Most social network services are web-based and provide means for users to interact over the internet, such as email, instant messaging, or some type of interaction. There's even ones that have avatars like Second Life for you to walk around in environments or worlds. I think there's just a lot of those. But of course, the history has kind of taken different turns of social networking over the years. Some features, certain categories, places, high school or college attended, hometown, your current city, job related information you can all put on your profile, means to connect with other friends and keep up with contacts, picture, video, or other coding support. It recommends you link to certain places, areas, or hobbies like your political views or sports teams or whatever it is. They've even got social networking for, like, if you're a runner, I'm a runner. If you have a smartwatch through Garmin, they have something called Strava where you can follow other people's routes that they run, and things like that. In exchange, like, hey, I just ran 5 miles at this time, and stuff like that. Special add-on features like games and programs, music, all types of personalization features, and that varies between the different social networking platforms. As you kind of see there, the goal, make comments, participate, bulletin type features like a bulletin board generates traffic. And of course, they sell you stuff through advertising and everything. That's how they make their money. And then the 3 rules of engagement are very important. Take extra care to protect both intel and yourself, the personal data that you have. Use common sense. Remember that professional, straightforward, and appropriate communication is best. Some people forget that. And then disclose. Your presence in social media must be transparent, but also you don't want to disclose everything in social networking. It is not private. It is totally public, and everything lives forever on the internet. Facts. Russians spend more time on social networking sites than any other people in the world. An average of 6.6 hours per month compared to the worldwide average of about 3.7 hours per month. So again, it could be weather related, it could be hacking related. Just a joke. But seriously, it could be. I don't know. But for whatever reason, they log the most hours. If I had to guess, probably China would log the possibly least amount of hours, not really sure, but they are heavily guarded with their internet. All traffic is monitored. On November 3rd, 2008, I know this is a while ago, but it was an interesting fact. The day before the U.S. presidential election, Democratic presidential candidate at that time, Barack Obama, who would go on to win the presidency, had 2,379,000 Facebook supporters, while Republican John McCain only had 620,000. So again, it just shows you. And then they talk about the MySpace number. So he had like 384 more followers in one and 383%, not just people, but percent more followers than the other. And he ended up winning. So it just goes to show you, though, how social networking can like really hype something up, and in good ways or bad ways. Even a dictatorship in the Middle East was was toppled by a social networking platform, Twitter, where everybody kind of said, we're going to gather in this spot and start a revolution. And it just like snowballed from there, and they were actually able to topple their government because of it. So whether you agree or not getting into politics one way or the other, just showing the power of social networking. And again, this is what I was talking about in Iran. They actually, well, this was different, but Twitter was so important to the Iranian protest after the Iranian presidential election in 2016. They actually asked, the State Department actually asked Twitter to delay a scheduled network upgrade because it was going to be a busy time. So they actually complied and rescheduled it. So, we can, and usually you try to schedule things, to not affect people like downtime, but they thought it was important enough. Social networking and blogging sites account for 17%, about 1 in every 6 minutes of all time spent on the internet, nearly 3 times as much as in 2008. That was in 2009. I'm sure today's stats would probably be social networking and Amazon. So, or at least for me, it would just be all Amazon and work. The popularity of social networking sites such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Classmates.com more than quadrupled from 2005 to 2009, and I'm sure it even has more than quadrupled since then. And then a more recent stat, a 2017 study found that workers using Facebook in the office were costing Australian businesses up to $4.5 billion per year. Excuse me. So a February 2019 report stated that social networking were costing UK businessmen an estimated $12.5 billion US dollars annually. So basically they're saying that we're not very productive because we're checking our social media at work. Most social networking sites are free to join. So how do they earn a profit? As we mentioned a few slides ago, they really earn money from advertising and pushing that information to you so that hopefully you click on something and they get paid per click. Selling or sharing your personal information to other companies for analysis, like your browsing history, your search history, your donations and fundraising history. So there's all types of ways they can generate profit through marketing. And that's like a whole nother realm of legal or ethical issues to dive into. Pros of social networking. It allows people to create new relationships, network, and reconnect with family and friends. It brings people together with common interests, allows you to be creative and express what things in a new medium. It even has business pros for business. People can promote their business, improves meeting and online conferencing, connects the world, fast dissemination of news and breaking headlines. You just got to make sure it's not fake news. And then can improve distance education and other educational tools and resources. The cons. There are a lot of cons. Of course, with everything, you have pros and cons. It decreases work production. We'll actually have a voice thread about that this week called Social Not Working. It entices people to spend more time online and less time interacting face to face, and those social skills are still needed in today's time. Growing up with these social networking services makes society less aware that there's actually a problem. No way for social networking sites to verify users, so there's a lot of scamming and things. Presents new, harder, violent technique to teens and adults. Cyberbullying, a huge issue. It poses a threat for leaking confidential or important information. And of course, the live feature, which broadcasts and streams to millions of users across their connections without your consent. Continued, it makes more prone to isolation and less developed social skills, which is actually kind of like a mental health diagnosis today. A false sense of security may leave social networking site users vulnerable to security attacks such as hacking, leaking sensitive information, and sending viruses, even down to saying, hey, I'm on vacation this week, and then somebody breaks into your house, right? Social networking sites were created to make money, not necessarily to improve your life. These websites use networks of online friends to accumulate data about people for the purpose of selling their advertising. So you always have to kind of think about that in the back of your mind. These are just some stats about how many people, and this is in millions, so that 2,320, it's actually that's a billion. So 2.3 billion Facebook users, 1.9 billion YouTube users. Now that YouTube might be a little inflated because everybody that has a Gmail account now has a YouTube account because Gmail owns Google, or Google owns YouTube, sorry. WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, WeChat, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Skype, Pinterest, all types of ones that are up there that you can kind of see. Digital around the world. The internet users are about 4.021 billion, but the total population on the planet is about 7.5 billion. Active social media users are about 3.1 billion, so over almost half. A little under half, about 40-something% of the world on social media. I'm actually one of the ones that are not. I used to be in college when Facebook very first started. I first went to college, but not anymore. Unique mobile users, so that's like unduplicated, and then active mobile social users. So again, that's the people who are actually active on it at any given time. So you can kind of see some of those statistics there from last year. Reasons for blocking social networking: data leakage, decrease in productivity, we don't control access, malware, and I really don't know. So we don't control access and productivity. Well, not so much productivity. The malware and we don't control access was really the reason I did, because I teach cybersecurity. So it kind of alarmed me with some of the things, if you read like the EULA, as they call it, the user agreements and things, you'd be alarmed at them owning a lot of your data, even down to your pictures. Social networking schizophrenia. So they talked about different, again, not mental health, like as far as having a something you need to take medication for, but having a issue, how it affects your life with social networking. And in the voice thread, you'll actually read about a term, infomaniac. That was a book written by a lady, Elizabeth Ferrarini, who wrote the book many years before social networking ever became a thing. So these are some of the places that actually block some of these services. Now, I don't even know if MySpace still exists today, but these are just some of the things that, like the Air Force, Army, Marine Corps, Navy, DOD actually look at, and they're like, we don't want it on base necessarily. Now, if you click that link, there's a ton, and you can do it in the other presentation. There's a ton of different social networking sites that you can go through and look at. These are just some to create a timeline. We don't have to go through all of them in detail, but Facebook launched in February 2004 by Mark Zuckerberg, who was a Harvard student at the time. There's a lot of different, lawsuits and things over the years that have came against them, but they are still the largest social network on the planet. And it's blocked by many companies. It's blocked in many countries. There's all types of legal issues and things. They were accused or asked to testify because there was a lot of accusations about Russian hackers posting fake news and how did they get to do that and so on. So again, still the largest one on the planet. And this is just kind of a breakdown by users. Obviously that 18 to 25 group, and then the 26 to 34 group is still the largest there. And then it kind of dwindles down from there. Twitter, one developed in 2006. So you ever heard somebody tweet something? I think Twitter is probably more used in the real time. I know a lot of TV shows do it, hashtag us or things like that. Many sports teams, governments, celebrities like it because you can follow them directly. And then of course, Instagram is another one that's kind of piggybacked off of Twitter. So there's all different types of things with that, but it's basically basically it revolved around just 140 characters. And I actually read a news report that I think they're trying to increase that, but this is just kind of an example of what it looks like. This is an old picture of what it looks like, but you know, MySpace, that was actually one of the first social networks, started a year before Facebook in August 2003. Facebook and MySpace really tried to kind of battle for ground there for a while. And again, the main crazy thing was MySpace reduced its staff to only around 200 employees as of June 2011, and it decreased from 580 million in value to only 35 million in just 6 years. So it was a drastic decrease. One of the mainstays that killed, I believe, MySpace was they used to allow you to customize your profile using HTML code. The problem was many people would copy and paste it from sites that didn't know any better, and it would be virus ridden all in the background. So they kind of fell to the wayside as Facebook and Twitter gained popularity. Yammer is one. It's kind of an enterprise social networking for business, where it's almost like a SharePoint server used for private communication within organizations. Another one is like LinkedIn, and this is just showing Microsoft really likes Yammer. And Second Life, that's one that we talked about earlier, where you actually have like an avatar and walk around in different environments. Places used to actually build like campuses. East Carolina, when I went there, had a Second Life campus, which was like a replication of all the real buildings, and it actually had like dollars. So one Linden dollar was actually like 0.004 US dollars. So it actually had a conversion rate for you to buy stuff and spend money or whatever. I don't think it lasts long. Digg is another one. Usually that is more for like responding to like news websites and blogs and things like that. Second Life is another one I was talking about a while ago, not related to Yammer, but it's more like a social network for people who post their resumes and can get jobs and things like that. And here it is. LinkedIn actually got in trouble the other year for spamming users via email to try to join. Snapchat is another one, used to create short videos of themselves that expire after a time period. It recently suffered a second quarter earnings loss than it was projected due to Facebook competition. Pinterest, a lot of people like that because you can post your idea boards and projects, a lot of arts and crafts, recipes. Instagram, YouTube, Google+, all ways to connect people together. So again, that concludes our presentation on social networking.